I sat in a room full of killers today. A low-down, dirty, good-for-nothing piece of pointed a gun at me, and I didn't flinch. I was tuned in, paying attention, and on my gangster. One thing I know for sure is not a person in that room knows where Amira is. There were only two people in the world capable of pulling that off. This is Bedtime Stories, Grown-Up Edition, Poetic Justice, bonus episode 2, part 2. When we left off in bonus episode 2, part 1, Emmanuel Manny Lopez was preparing for an episode of Guess Who's Coming to Dinner. On the guest list was his first love, Nadia Charles, and their secret love child, Stanley. Stanley had some tricks up his sleeve, but there was no way on God's green earth that he could possibly be expecting that his kingpin father doesn't have some tricks up his own. Angela and Q were at an impasse. She wasn't telling her secrets, and he wasn't telling his. Over at Vibrantly You, Angela had done Catherine's bidding. She'd made introductions between Sincere, her customer service manager, Natalia Jimenez. There was clearly a spark, and as far as Angela was concerned, it was not her job to fan the flame. Sincere needed a wife in order to take his rightful position at the head of the St. James family. If Natalia was the person for the job, then it was going to be up to Sincere to see that. And in Denver, True and Bosch were bumping heads. She wanted him to leave, and he was determined to stay because he'd made a promise to Big Wood, a promise he was determined to keep. True just wanted to be left alone. She wanted to prove Pastor Tanya wrong. She wanted to keep herself from falling back into her old bad habits. And she really just didn't want to be bothered with no man. Stacks was adamant about her having security, then he could send a woman in Bosch's place. But Bosch needed to go. And when she called Stacks the second time, she told him just that. She said, listen, I don't know where the confusion is. I am in charge here. I may be off grid, but I have not resigned from my position. You don't tell me what to do. I tell you what to do. I am telling you to pull Bosch out. He hasn't done anything wrong. I'm not displeased with his job so far. If anything, I am impressed. The work that he did in capturing Amira was flawless. You said that nobody has any clue that I was involved. You both did an awesome job getting me in and out of Dallas without being seen. This is not about the job. It's about my personal preference. I prefer to be alone. If you are insistent that I have to have someone here with me, then you can send a woman. Because right now, with all that I'm dealing with, I don't even want to look at a man. I think I'm going to become a nun. I'm going to have this baby and move into a damn monastery. Zach said, you know they got priests at monasteries, right? You not really going to be able to never see a man again. I'm just saying. True said, whatever. I'll become a damn hermit. I'll build my own damn cabin in the woods, and me and my baby will go off grid forever. I just don't want to look at him. Bosch said, the only issue with that is there aren't any women, there aren't even any other men that I can pull right now with everything that's going on here. Bosch is the only one who won't be missed, because he's always in the field. He's always working behind the scenes. No one is expecting to see him, so they're not going to be missing him. True said, then I'm fine on my own. Stack said, how about this? How about you and him just stay out of one another's way? You limit interaction. That estate is huge. Why y'all can't just stay in separate places? The guest house is set up so that he can see the entire property on the cameras. Then you stay on another part of the property and problem solve. True said, why can't I just get what I'm asking for? Stack said, because that would be irresponsible of me. I'd have to answer to your two best friends. And I don't really know which one of them is crazier. But I know that the one I make love to is not going to make love to me no more. And the one that I don't is probably going to slit my throat. I'd also have to answer to her boss. You know, the one who's all of our bosses. I don't think that Emmanuel Lopez is going to be okay with me letting something happen to you or your baby. And when he finishes skinning me alive, what's left of me will be passed around the other heads of the 5 families. Now, I'm not scared to die, but I'd prefer not to be tortured. I don't think you understand. They don't play about you. After working with you for these past 2 years, I don't play about you either. And not for nothing, I wouldn't put it past Big Wood to come back to life and unalive me and everybody else if anything happened to you and his baby. Yeah, so I'm not gonna be able to help you with that. True said, y'all really riding for him. Stack said, of course we are. Wood was a real nigga, a certified OG, a man who commanded respect with his spirit. Not his size, not his gunplay, but his energy, his character, his integrity. I'm telling you no, because that man taught me I could. True said, what? Sack said, he's the only man that I have ever seen respond with a resounding no to a direct order that he received in the middle of a war from one of the heads of the 5 families and lived to tell about it. True said, I never heard that story. Stack said, that's because he wasn't prideful. He wasn't braggadocious. Any other man would have been. Any other men would have been dead. True said, what happened? Stack said, he received the order to take out a kingpin of a low-level organization. He had the man in his sights, and then he saw that man take his child out of the back seat of the car. He had no idea the child was in the car. He had a clear shot. He could have taken it. He'd already communicated his position to Manny's right hand. We were all waiting for him to take the shot so that we could make a move on that man's spots all across the island. And Big Wood refused. He refused to kill that man in front of his son. Manny was pissed. He pulled Wood in. He pulled us all in a room full of heads, right hands, generals, and lieutenants. Big Wood looked that man in his face and said, I didn't take the shot because one day somebody's going to have a beat on you. And your family and I are going to pray that God, in his infinite wisdom, will return the favor. And Manny walked out of the room. When he returned with his wife. Marisol entered the room with tears in her eyes. And she said, we should all endeavor to be half the man that Wood is. And Manny dismissed us. So no, True. Bosch is not leaving. There is not a better man for the job. When True hung up, she packed her things and moved into the main house. She ain't have no more fight in her. And if the men who worked for her were willing to defy her orders to honor her man, then she was going to help them do it. Meanwhile, at Vibrantly You, Sincere was saying to Natalia, thanks for the little tour or whatever. And thanks for the tips and products. I don't appreciate how you came for my head, but if my skin gonna look good like my big cousin's, then I guess it's worth a try. Natalia said, it makes no sense for a man to be dressed as impeccably as you are, and his skin look like a pubescent boy who plays basketball all day, washes his body, and doesn't wash his damn face. Sincere said, nah, that's enough. You gonna tear me down, you might as well build me up by giving me your phone number, Talia. Natalia said, when I introduced myself, I told you that my name is Natalia. Don't get too friendly. Sincere said, my bad, young. How about this? How about you let me take you out Friday night and make it up to you? Natalia said, I have plans Friday night, and I prefer not to mix business and pleasure. You have a good one, though. And then she walked off, and Sincere enjoyed the view, as she did. He chuckled and just shook his head, knocked on Angela's office door when she gave him permission to enter. He went inside and said, yo, homegirl, she's spicy. She fine as hell, too. She said, you get her number? Sincere said, nah, she wasn't going. It's probably for the best, though. I got bigger fish to fry right now. Q said, you gonna have to learn how to multitask, bro. You need to be finding a wife. At the very least, you need to be lining up some prospects. Angela said, lining up? Q said, you know what I mean. All work and no play is not gonna get him a wife. Sincere said, well, she won't even let me take her out on a date, so I guess I'll keep fishing. Q said, let's walk and talk, cuz. Angela said, and Sincere, I will see you tonight. Dinner is at 7. When the men headed out, Angela made arrangements for dinner, updated Catherine on the introductions, and then she called True. Angela said, Truey boo. She'd been calling True that since she was 6 years old. Stephanie, True, and Renni had been best friends since they were 6 years old. Angela said, I talked to Stacks. He told me that you are in Denver throwing a damn tantrum. I know that this is a difficult time for you, but I don't see how not prioritizing your safety is helping that. If you don't want security, just come home. Before True could remind Angela that she did not have a home, Angela said, back to Texas. Miss Charlotte is still here. She's planning to be here for the foreseeable future. I don't think either of you should be alone right now. You both need to grieve, and you both need to begin healing. You should do it together. True said, you must not have spoken to Stacks since our most recent conversation. I've agreed to allow Bosch to stay. We're just going to stay out of one another's way, and there shouldn't be an issue. Now, if you're asking me to come back there because you're tired of footing the bill for me to stay on your property, I can pay. Angela said, True, this is not about money. I just don't want you to be alone. I don't want you to go into a deep depression. I don't want your baby to be adversely affected by the negative emotions, the negative self-talk, the pain and absolute misery that Big Wood's death is causing you. I know you, True. I was there when Bo died. Your parents, my mother, the entire church was in fervent prayer for you, for your sanity and your life. Quiet as it's kept, we thought you was gonna off yourself. When you started flipping niggas, I was happy. True started laughing and said, say what? Angela said, I'm serious. I didn't want you out here just giving your goodies away. But at least you wasn't killing nobody or yourself. Once you told me that you was using protection and you was letting them know what it was, I breathed a sigh of relief. Because if that was keeping you in the land of the living, it was fine with me. Now, I can't tell you what to do, and if I did, you wouldn't listen anyway. But I don't think it's a good idea for you to start taking niggas down while you pregnant. True said, that's not even an option. I never told anybody this, but obviously I was intentionally stringing Amira along. But even when I was ready to take him down, as part of my assignment, of course, my son would not let me. Angela said, what? True said, I'm serious. He let me do all kinds of things to Amir, and he let Amir do all kinds of things to me. But he was not going for the intercourse part. Angela said, well, I don't want to be personal, but what about when you and Big Wood? True said, it was phenomenal. Angela just fell out laughing. She said, girl, that pregnant sex is out of this world. Girl, me and Q got us some at the round table today. True said, the round table? What was you doing at the round table? Angela said, ooh, girl, that's a whole nother story. True said, no ma'am, you gonna have to tell me. Angela said, oh, I'll tell you all about it when you come back to Texas. True said, see, now that's not fair. Angela said, okay, well, I'll tell you all about it when you tell me what the hell you was doing in Texas 2 weeks ago. True said, I don't know what you're talking about. Angela said, do I look stupid to you? I know that for a very long time, I was pretty naive. I used to put my head in the sand. I avoided seeing what was right in front of me. But those days are over, True. I'm not the woman I used to be. I survived things that would have killed the average woman. I fought long and hard for the life that I have. I took a man's life in Puerto Rico to protect myself and my children. And 2 men entered my daughter's dorm room, violating the sanctity of the place where she lays her head and dishonoring a place created to worship God. And that almost sent my husband back to the bottom. I told Q today that I can only be soft where I'm safe. So no matter what I do, as long as I'm safe with him, he'll always get me soft. Q said, ooh, I know that's right. Angela said, and everybody else is gonna get a Lopez. Q said, I always knew it was in you. Angela said, and so did I. I know good and darn well that God does not want me to be a killer. This is a very temporary solution to some temporary problems. But I'm committed to seeing this through. I'm also committed to seeing you home. And I don't care what you call it. As long as I have a home, so do you. Now, where was I? Oh, that's right. I sat in a room full of killers today. My heart was racing. My palms were sweating. I was lightheaded and nauseous. A low-down, dirty, good-for-nothing piece of pointed a gun at me, and I didn't flinch. I was tuned in, paying attention, and on my gangster. One thing I know for sure is not a person in that room knows where Amira is. And not one of them had anything to do with her disappearance. There were only 2 people in the world capable of pulling that off. The letter in the mail with the photos, the typed confession, where every single detail was verified to be the truth. The kidnapping at the Queen Mother's cabin. All of that could have only been orchestrated by you or Big Wood. And since Big Wood was fighting for his life, that only leaves you, True. And let me tell you, you gave yourself away when you expertly conducted a plural effusion in the middle of an alley by performing a thoracentesis. Smack dab in the middle of a gunfight and disappeared without a trace. Drew said, I didn't. Angela said, ma'am, you were the blueprint for finishers, lieutenants, and generals being trained in emergency first aid. Until this day, nobody does it like you. There isn't a member of any of the 5 families who would be carrying surgical scissors and an oversized straw in their pack. That is not standard issue for a go bag. I didn't know that before, but I know it now. And the Queen Mother told me to tell you that you may not be an iron, but you stay keeping us straight. And for that, she says thank you. And when the 2 women finished laughing hysterically, Angela said, so I'll gladly tell you all about what I've been up to, what you missed at the round table, and anything else you want to know. When you tell me what all you've been up to, Miss Burton. True said, so I'm so tired. Oh, I think I'm going to take me a nap, Angela, and I'll call you back. Angela said, yeah, I bet. Meanwhile, at the Lopez estate, Manny had just finished saying, young man, I appreciate your forthrightness, your willingness to come forward on your own. Because had we had to come and look for you, this entire conversation would have gone differently, much differently. You do know that you are not free to leave here until we've verified that all you've said is the truth and you haven't left anything out. And he turned to his right-hand man and said, Javier, find him something appropriate to wear for dinner. Meanwhile, over at Charlotte and Samuel's house at the family complex in Denton, Miss Charlotte had just finished reading True's entry on the secure server out loud. She held up the urn that had been used to house the ashes at Big Wood's memorial service, read the inscription out loud, and said, I just want this to be over. Then she carried the urn out of the room, closed the bedroom door, walked out of the guest house, over to the bushes, took the top off of the urn, and poured the contents out, walked over to the waste management trash bin, and threw the urn inside. Then she heard a sharp inhale, and when she looked up, there was Samuel. He said, what the hell are you doing? And Charlotte was stupefied. She thought that she and Samuel were in agreement. When he was done at the round table, he'd be on a flight back to New York. She had no idea that the round table had been paused to reconvene the following day, and Samuel would be coming back. He said, Samuel said, why did you just pour Big Wood's ashes in the bushes and throw the urn away? Miss Charlotte said, I'm sorry. Let's go inside and it'll all make sense. Then she walked back inside the guest house and Samuel followed her inside, confused as hell. When she walked to the first bedroom and opened the door, his mouth fell open. He looked at Charlotte and said, why would you keep this from me? Why didn't you tell me? Miss Charlotte said, this was all Q's plan that he cooked up with the doctor. He never had any intentions of even letting me know. Mom Brenda had insisted. How she figured it out, I don't know. She refused to allow Q to keep it from me. She told him that that would be cruel to do to a mother. And after my outburst in the waiting room, just hearing the doctor say that he might not make it, she was concerned that I might not make it. And my relief, when I found out, was never going to outweigh the pain that I would have to endure for however long it took for the truth to come out. Not to mention, how would I handle it if, God forbid, the day actually came and I had to relive that experience all over again? So he told me, and I agreed to keep the secret from everybody, including you. Please tell me that you understand. This is why I can't go home yet. My son needs me. He doesn't even know who he is.
The world is cold, please remember.